Today on Combustion Chamber Live, we're here at Cars and Coffee Central Florida, the premier cars and coffee for this area. And I am sitting in an incredibly rare McLaren 600 LT, one of only 10 in the world. Let's get after it.
Hi there, my name is Jonathan Springer and I'm a realtor with the Network Property Group. I'm a realtor here in Central Florida and I help people buy and sell homes all over the state. If you have any questions, you see me out at one of these events, please feel free to say hi. I'd be happy to help you out.
All right, let's get things started off right today with a Ferrari Enzo. Now, these are incredibly rare cars, so to see any of these at any car show is great, and it's great that the gentleman who owns this brought this out here today. I've had the pleasure of riding in one of these for a shoot many, many years ago, and during that shoot, there were two of them. And one of the owners parked his car, and then the other Enzo did donuts next to it, and we shot that in slow motion. So very cool car, very popular car out here today. It's a very limited production. Probably, if I had to put my finger on favorite Ferrari, this would be it. It's basically a Formula One car with two seats. Very powerful. As you can see, the interior is nice, but it doesn't have a lot of extra bells and whistles. Now, there's no infotainment system, none of that stuff that I feel you really don't need in a car like this. The performance really speaks for itself, but having the pleasure of riding in one of these all those years ago and then seeing them do donuts in one was pretty wild. This car is amazing. You know, I just can't get away from this car, so let me get you another shot without my reflection in it. Owner was nice enough to open up the doors, and as you can see, you get right inside here. Now, check out this interior. Like I said, there's no infotainment system. There's just nothing you don't need in a car like this, and it's all performance, it's all speed. It's my favorite kind of car. I like the absence of knickknacks and buzzers and things like that, even in my daily driver. Of course, my daily driver is way, way, way slower than this car, but very, very cool. God, I can't get enough of this car. And right here we have a rear-wheel drive Lamborghini Huracan. Now, I always give people tips on how to spot if it's the all-wheel or rear-wheel drive, and the rear-wheel drive has a different designed front end. It also does not have the badging on the sign that would say LP610-4. I've gotten to drive the convertible version of the rear-wheel drive, also the 610-4 and the Performante, and I love all of them, but they all do different things. They all handle differently. So really nice car. And right next to it, we got another Lamborghini right here, the Urus. Now, a lot of people think this is Lamborghini's first foray into SUVs. It's actually not. They actually created something called the LM002 way back in the early 90s with the Diablo's V12. And it was nicknamed the Rambo Lambo. But this is much more luxury oriented and much more modern, obviously, with all the things that people like in a performance luxury SUV. And as we make our way down here, we've got a 488 Spider. Really nice looking car out here today. I love the Spiders where it's got that hard top that folds into the back. I like the practicality of that. So, you know, you get a little bit more rigidity and probably a little quieter than a fabric top. Now here is a Huracan all-wheel drive, and it's one of my favorite specs. It's a real classic look for any car with the blue and the tan seats. I like the yellow calipers as well, but this car is really nice. I always like it when I see this out here with those light tan leather seats on this blue. It's a color combination that never fails. And he's got an aftermarket carbon fiber wing on here. So now what would typically be in the place of that is where it's mounted onto. You see that piece of carbon fiber right there. That would articulate at certain speeds. So I don't think that probably does it now, but you can see that that's where that used to be, that factory deployable wing. And right here, a 570. Now this is the person that puts on the show. This is his McLaren. Really nice car. I get a kick out of seeing any of these here. Haven't driven this yet. haven't driven a McLaren. Out of all the supercars and muscle cars and odd cars that I've driven, I've never been behind the wheel of a McLaren, and that's a shame. But the car that we started the episode with, this rare 600 LT, is an absolute gem of a car, and it's got the, it's got the carbon package, it's got the functional roof scoop there. You can see that this car is really amazing. He just fired it up. This car is super rigid, super lightweight. Now they say no revving at this show, but I think they'll make a slight exception for the 600 LT. Like I said in the opening, this is one of only 10 in the world with this kind of package. So that roof scoop is functional. It feeds air directly into the Now, how does air get from this scoop to the turbos? These support struts right here are hollow. Air travels through there and gets you to the turbos. So you might see this on an episode of Combustion Chamber. You just might. Owner's a good friend and a really nice guy. And that car sounded wicked. Now, this show is always to benefit a good cause, but the cause has changed this time around. I know they're still helping Nemours Children's Hospital, but these supplies here are for the Bahamas. They got hammered with the hurricane. We got lucky here in Florida, but they were not. So people are bringing out lots of supplies here today. More are definitely on the way, and I need to bring my stuff out here. So I'll link up with the show promoter and bring my stuff out here. But it's good to see the car community coming together for the Bahamas. And right here, we have a Ferrari 458 Italia. We've had one of these on the show, not this particular one. Ours had a very rare paint job. A lot of fun to ride in, just a great car from Ferrari. And if I'm not mistaken, this represents their last naturally aspirated car across their entire lineup. Now, if we come right here, we have a special treat for y'all today. This has been on Combustion Chamber. At the time of filming, we had it, the owner had it up to 900 horsepower. I know that there are more modifications on the way, but he has not kept it stock. It's got a rare color. Of course, this car was a limited production. And I gotta tell you, the ZR1 is something else. When I think of Corvettes, I think, good cars for the money, but I don't think, superior handling, except when I drive this car. I've had the pleasure of driving it a couple of times, and I gotta tell you, the acceleration, the stability that you feel is really good. I mean, if you said 15 years ago that General Motors would make a car like this, you'd have been laughed out of the room. But not only are they making a car like this, they're making it outstanding. So this really got me into what Corvette is capable of doing, to what GM is capable of doing. And this car was an absolute blast to drive. I will put the link to this episode down below. Here we have a nice McLaren 570S. Love this dark metallic gray color with the red seats. That's a good combination right there. Now, I don't know if this is a factory option or aftermarket, but it's got a wing on it I typically don't see on this car. So I couldn't tell you if that was factory or provided by an aftermarket supplier. Still a great car though, regardless. And we come down here and we've got a couple of Aston Martins. Now, I love Aston Martins. So I'm going to start here with the DB11 Volante. This, I believe, has the single largest piece of aluminum for a production car, and that would be the hood. Now, you can get two engine options with this vehicle, a twin-turbo V8 and I believe twin-turbo 12-cylinder. Now, the 12-cylinder is probably what I would go for. I kind of wish there was a naturally aspirated option, but that's okay. Times are changing, and you have to change with them. Really beautiful interior. If some of the infotainment looks familiar to you, that is because it is sourced from Mercedes. That's how Aston Martin keeps some of their costs down, so they don't have to R&D their own infotainment system. So that's the previous generation Mercedes infotainment. But the car is fantastic. It's just a beautiful, gorgeous looking car. I can't get enough of the DB11. I would absolutely love to own one. And right next to it, we have a DB9. Now this car represented a big leap forward for Aston Martin, just in terms of reliability, performance, quality. And we've had one of these on the show, not this particular model, and driving it was a lot of fun. Naturally aspirated V12, throaty, sounded just absolutely amazing. And the Mopar guys are out in force today. We've got a whole lineup of challengers out here today. Hellcats, RTs, love that lime green, big fan of the louder colors, but all these cars are pretty wicked. You have a red eye here with that wide body kit on it. Very cool, very dramatic, incredibly powerful, well over 700 horsepower. You've got naturally aspirated engines like this 392, unless it's been modified. And they just have so many packages, so many options. It's pretty crazy. But you know, you've got a 392 with this shaker hood on there, which is functional. So it's not like in the 90s on some cars, you know, you'd have a faux intake. This is for real. And look down here, you see those little yellow strips down there. That actually is to be removed by dealer. Those are protective strips for the transport of the vehicle to the dealership. But a lot of guys leave that on there. It's just become kind of a thing now. As we work our way down, we're going to see that again. So here's an awesome Charger Hellcat. Very, very cool. I mean, to get a four-door car like this with this level of performance is crazy. And right here, we have something different. A GTR pulling in. That's a good-looking GTR right there. So like I said earlier, we'd see another car with that protective strip. You can see it says removed by the dealer. It's protected during transit, and owners have chosen to keep it on their car. Now, what I really like about the design of the wide body is the front and rear deep dish wheels. You see a lot of cars where the deep dish is in the back for obvious reasons, but I like it when they're able to put the deep dish up front, and part of that is because of the wide body and the ability to fit bigger wheels in there. So you got deep dish there, and you got deeper dish back here. And right here we have my 2004 Pontiac GT. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this car because I've done it in other videos, but I really love it. 5.7 liter LS1. It's got SLP headers and pipe and resonators, no cats, no mufflers. You can get away with that in this state, thank goodness. And as we come down here, we've got the last of the breed, a 2002 Pontiac Trans Am, also known as an F body that shared that platform with the Camaro. Love this car. I may or may not have driven it. You'll have to subscribe and hit that bell icon for instant notifications to see if this will be a future episode of Combustion Chamber. But I love the fourth gens. You know, they get a bad rap, and people tend to forget about them when the new generation comes along. But do you see how the engine sits so far back? These cars actually handle surprisingly well for their size, their weight, and even with that live axle rear end. So it's not independent rear end, but it still handles really well. And you can put subframe connectors on it. You can do what this owner's done, shock tower brace, just a whole variety of things. And he takes exceptionally good care of it. But I love fourth gens. I love the T-tops. I love that it's just a raw driver's car. A little difficult to work on to get to some of the components on these fourth gens because the engine's tucked so far up in there, but just such a great car. And right next to it, we have a G8 GT, also known as a Holden Commodore. These were from Australia, powered by an LS2 6-liter, 400 horsepower. Really, really nice cars. This owner's swapped out, put some black rims on it. These cars are a lot of fun to drive. The Infiniti Q50, it's got some aftermarket wheels on it. A little over 300 horsepower stock. These are actually a lot of fun to drive and very comfortable to drive. I know this is going to sound weird, but it actually has one of my favorite smelling interiors. But actually, really nice cars. You should check them out. Come down here, got some Mustangs. We're going to see a lot more Mustangs here in just a little bit. As we work our way down, we've got some Tesla action here. So I've talked to people who own these cars, got a friend that owns one. I think this is the Model 3, and they've got nothing but great things to say about it. They sing their praises. I haven't met an upset Tesla owner yet. No, Tesla's not sponsoring this video. Obviously, you saw the sponsor earlier, but these are very interesting. They self-park, they self-drive. There's other features coming out soon. Although I have to say, these self-driving and all that, that still kind of scares me. I'm a guy that likes to be in full control of the vehicle. I don't want any too much electronic assistance. Here is what was sold in America as a Chevy SS, but is a different generation of the Holden Commodore with the Holden badging, which you could get as an option. I love these cars. Had a Pro-Charged one on the show and have nothing but good things to say about it. A great four-door beast of a car. Now, down this aisle here, we got a whole mixture of things. Mercedes, Corvette, Pontiac G8, once again, Holden Commodore, and a gorgeous yellow ZR1. This car was great. Now, the new ZR1, yeah, you know, it's a lot different, but this car is still, I think, pretty legendary. I love the transparent hood there so you can see the top of the supercharger. Really like these cars. I haven't had the pleasure of driving this particular one. We saw the ZR1 over there earlier, the 7th generation. Did drive that, loved it. I'd like to check one of those out sometime to see how they stack up. I know it's going to be a big difference, but I think it's going to still have plenty of power. Now here we have a supercharged Z06 C7. We've got a 1LE Camaro here. You can always tell the 1LE by the matte black hood. I haven't seen anyone that puts that on aftermarket. Now this is a super sport, okay, but now on the current production Camaro, you can get the 1LE track pack on both the 6 and turbo 4-cylinder cars, which I think is great. They want you to buy the cars even though they're going out of production, which is a shame. Now right here we got a rare beast you don't get to see very often. This huge land yacht of a car, the Magnum. I like my land yachts, I like my big cars, and to see this out here is pretty cool. Car from the 70s, just pretty wild all the way around. And so we got Ford, we got BMW. Pretty much everybody is welcome, as you can see. So at a show like this, the Mustang guys are always out in force, but to see a classic is always very, very cool. So, and there's a lot of Mustangs here today. We saw some over there earlier, and now we're making our way to the modern 5.0, and not a Mustang. So if you get here to the show late, and by late I mean probably on time, there's already a lot of spots that are taken up. So people just park where they can. But we've got more Mustangs right here. Classic Fox body, 302 badging on the side. It's got a cowl induction hood on it. Pretty slick. So what I like about some of these late model ones is when people add their own power to it. You see it's got a Whipple supercharger right there. I like that. This one looks like they're adding a few things to it. I think I see an intercooler down there. It's got those color changing lights you can see there. It's got the canards up front, and I don't know if it's a carbon fiber, a red carbon fiber panel or a wrap right there. I don't know if the whole car is going to end up looking that way, but looks like they are working on making it very, very customized. And we come over here. I'm going to go above the photographer, and we've got some more Fords. And like I said, the Ford guys are out in force with Focuses, Fiestas, Mustangs. No trucks here today. Now, of course, we don't see too many Ford trucks out here. Truck guys don't come out. I don't know why. But you can see clearly there's a lot of custom work. Got a Decepticon Mustang right there. And the Decepticon Barricade was a Mustang in the Transformers films directed by Michael Bay. And of course, who was the good guy? The Camaro, of course. I'm biased, but I like to film everybody's car, give them a little time to see their car in the videos. So we got two GT350s here looking real sharp, very aggressive front end, very nice styling. I think, you know, when the concept all those years ago with the retro body style came out, it looked great. And then when the production car came out, it was kind of watered down. and I'm not bashing that car or anything like that. You know, it's a lot of concepts end up that way. It's not just a Ford thing. But now, this car just looks much more aggressive and a little closer to that initial concept. And as we make our way down, got a classic right here, and another classic, a bandit-styled Trans Am. This car is very, very cool. Late model Mustang with some Coyote badging there. Very cool. And a Shelby Cobra. Looks good in blue, always looks good in blue. And we keep coming down here. Got some motorcycle action. Got a lot more Mustang action right here. I like the green on that Boss 302. Very nice looking. And right here, we have a late model Grand Sport. Right next to something very different, an STI. And then a C7 Grand Sport. The last one we just saw was a C6. Here's a C5 Z06. Here's a Fiat. You don't see too many of these show up at shows, but they do have a loyal following. It's small in this area, but very, very loyal. And as we make our way down here, we've got the GT500, very powerful car, very coveted by Mustang people. Here we got a GT40, if I'm not mistaken. Now seeing this is pretty awesome and pretty rare. Now why is it called a GT40? I know. Do you know? Leave me a comment down below if you know the answer. No Googling. Be on the honor system here. Now here's, I don't think they would call it a rat rod or a gasser, but if you look down below, you see how this thing sits really high? It kind of reminds me of an old gasser. So I don't know what the owner's going for. It may get painted, it may not. Or they may leave it in this sort of like rat rod look, which is a big thing right now. And we come here and got a very vivid, colorful wrap on this Maserati GT. I got to drive one of these. It was a hardtop, not convertible, and it was a lot of fun. And another Mopar guy with a really black on black Hellcat. And right here we've got another Maserati GT. I really love this blue that this car comes in with the tan interior. We saw that Lamborghini that I was kind of drooling over that had a similar color combination, of course not exact, and it has the Maserati Trident right there, embroidered on the headrest on all 4 seats. So big fan of the styling of this car, and it really has not changed very much in about a decade. Wow, the Mopar guys are everywhere. Got a Hellcat here, got a Range Rover, have a 1LE Camaro here. This would be the 6th generation. Super Sport, so it's an SS RS. Now how can I tell that by just looking at it? Well, if you want a little tip, if it's an SS RS, the SS will be red. If it's an SS without the RS package, the SS will be black. And we spin around over here and we've got a 5th gen in a limited color package. Now they made these, and not very many of them. I think every model year they had a different package, but the rims and tires, the color and interior color are all unique and not as mass produced as other colors for the car. And they had various special editions. They still do that. I don't know if they're going to do that for these last couple of years that the Camaros run, but we'll see. And right here, we've got a 4th generation Z28, powered by an LS1 5.7 liter. Really like this car. Once again, we saw the 4th gen 2002 Trans Am back there. I love these cars. Like I said, nothing but good things to say about them. Really fun to drive. I still have my 4th gen, and I love it. So we've got a C6 here. And then we've got the 1-year C6 refresh. This is another 1LE car because it's got the matte black hood. It is a functional hood with those vents right there. And I want to ask you, what do you think? I know this front end is very controversial. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are indifferent to it. What do you think about it? Do you think they should have kept it, or do you think this latest redesign where the bow tie is moved up and this black part is painted looks better? And what I said earlier back there about an SSRS, you know, if it's an SSRS, it's red. Well, you can see this is an SS without the RS package because it is in black. So very cool. And right here, the ZL1. Very, very cool car. So right here we've got a classic Porsche, but this is far, far from stock. This one is definitely made for the track. He's got a roll cage in there. He's got his racing seats, his harness, got a stick shift. Very cool. You know, I know this one is probably heavily modified for track use, but I'm going to tell you something. If you get the opportunity to drive any Porsche, take it. They handle and perform so well. Definitely jump on that. And right here we've got an Audi that can either be front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. These cars are pretty slick, pretty nice, very comfortable to drive. Met the owner of this one. I know who he is. He's got good things to say about it, obviously. He still has it. And look at this chrome-wrapped Mercedes. Very cool. Very eye-catching. You're going to notice this going down the street. You might be blinded by it, but very interesting. Have not seen this out here at this show before. And as we make our way back down here, you can just see how large this show is. You've got Minis, you've got Volkswagen, you've got a new Audi e-tron SUV. The concept of this you could see in, I think it was Avengers Endgame they had one. I believe it was a concept version. I could be wrong about that. I mean, I know it was an Audi e-tron, but I'm not sure if it's the same model. More Corvette action. Just all have a classic little Mini over here. You know, there's a movie with Michael Caine called The Italian Job. Not the one with Mark Wahlberg, but they have a lot of these in there. And it's supposed to be a really epic car chase. But so is the remake. That's a pretty good film as well. And as you can see, this one is right-hand drive. Very, very cool. And right next to it, we got some classic Jaguar action. I don't see too many of these on the road either. XJ6. Oh, wait a minute now. It's going to make some purists mad, but I love seeing it. 5.7 liter LS1. So why do people do that? Why do they take the engine out of some of these older luxury cars and put them in there? Well, sometimes it's for power, and sometimes it's for reliability, or both. And there is the LS1 that is in this car, fits in there nicely. And like I said, people put this in there for power and reliability. And I'm not throwing Jaguar into the bus, but there were a few years where the cars weren't reliable. The engines were a pain. They're overhead cam engines, difficult to work on. So when you do this, you get fuel economy for a V8, and that reliability and that performance. So, and it's my understanding, I think you can also swap the rear end as well. But the car's interior is super clean. The car's in great shape, and it's got that good American horsepower. Now here's a Jaguar that is one of the prettiest ones I think they've ever made. I really like it. Still has the leaper on the hood there, that's what they call that. Really beautiful car. Nice as a convertible, and also neat looking as a hardtop. Of course, this is a convertible. There's a movie with Van Damme called Hard Target, and the villain, played by Lance Hendrickson, drives one of these. It's a black one, looks really, really nice. This car is pretty wicked. And you've got a classic like this, right, with that nice styling that I really, really like. And then right next to it, you've got the modern F-Type. So this has got the 6-cylinder. And the one next to it has the supercharged 5-liter. And both of these have deployable wings here. That portion right there with the leaper on it, that deploys to provide you with more downforce as you go faster. And we come over here, and what do we have? We've got the Lexus LC500. Has some LFA DNA in it. Of course, the LFA was a very limited production car that really never got its due, although it's a great car. I've had the pleasure of seeing one only once, but a lot of ideas carried over because the car is still a great car to this day. But a lot of ideas did carry forth into the LC 500. Now this matte black Audi R8. Now this matte black Audi R8 should look familiar to you. It's been on Combustion chamber. I'll put a link to this one below as well. It is a stick shift car, and you can see that right there. And my shadow's not blocking it. So he's had custom interior work done, custom work on the wheel. The wrap is semi-transparent, so it's not just a straight matte. It does have a little flake in it, and that's the black coming through. Carbon fiber aero, aftermarket wheels, red accents. And one of the things we talked about on that episode with this car was that, you know, a lot of R8s are kept stock, and this one is far from it. So car was a blast to drive. We really got on it. Great owner, very nice guy. So like I said, I'll put a link to that right down below. And right here we have a Lamborghini Aventador SV in this pearlescent blue. Very beautiful color with those gray wheels and orange calipers. Really set it off. Love this car. He's got some orange accents to match those calipers right inside there. Very cool stuff. Now the SV is special because it does come with more power, but it also removes some of the active aero components. So the carbon fiber pieces you see right here, those inlets, those are a functional piece on a what would be a regular Aventador. And they remove the active spoiler and put this fixed carbon fiber wing here. So that reduces weight. Now you have constant drag on the car, but that's okay because this car is actually really kind of meant for the track, but is also very street drivable. The front end does raise and lower 2 inches to get you over those speed bumps. Naturally aspirated 12-cylinder, a little over 700 horsepower in the SV package. All-wheel drive, really, really something special. One of my favorite cars out here today. So right here, we've got the brand new Supra. What do you think of this car? Now, I know some people love it. Some people are disappointed. So I want to know what you think down in the comment section below. I personally, I don't have a huge connection to the Supra. I drove one recently, an older one. I haven't driven this new one, so I can't really say how it handles, how it performs. But I'd love to know your thoughts below, especially if you've driven the car. Now, if you're already subscribed to our channel, this car should look very familiar to you. If you don't know what it is, hit that subscribe button and bell icon for notifications when we go live with new episodes. But this is not built in the 60s. It's a 1991 Nissan Figaro. You can tell it's got a much more modern motor than the body style suggests. They only built these for 1 year in Japan as sort of a design exercise. It's right-hand drive. Very cool. It was a lot of fun to drive, very unique, very different. You can see it's got a convertible, very unique convertible top there, but it really looks far more European and far more older than it actually is. And right here, we've got a G35, heavily modified, stanced, slammed to the ground. It is bagged. They did a lot of work to shining up the engine bay. Very nice looking car. They are friends, so I'm biased, and it's a work in progress. I know that they're doing some stuff on it still. Got yourself some aftermarket sound there, some thunder, some booming. Pretty nice, very clean car though, and a really nice family to boot. All right, I want to show you this car because it takes me back to my youth a little bit. Now, this is not a 1987 Lincoln Town Car, but I had one when I was in high school. I paid $1,000 for it at the time. It was in good condition, well, fairly decent condition. So when I saw this out here, I know that it is not the same model year, or you know, it's the Continental, but it's just a big land yacht with the flip headlights. I believe this is a 70s model, maybe early 80s at the latest. Got the vents right there on the side. So I just see one of these and it kind of takes me back to my youth, where, you know, when you were in high school, you worked and saved for whatever you could get your hands on. You know, back when I was that age, there's no way I could afford the insurance on a Camaro. So I got a Lincoln Town Car, giant land yacht. But after that, I got an S10, and then I got the Camaro that I own today, the white 98. But I want to show you this because it just kind of takes me back seeing one of these, and seeing one of these in such great, clean condition out here today. One of the things that goes hand in hand with these supercars are the houses they get to get parked in. And our sponsor has been nice enough to invite me to check out some more cars in a very immaculate house. Let's go check that out right now. So let's get things started off right with this Lamborghini Gallardo Performante. Now, if you follow this channel, you know I've driven the Huracan Performante, and seeing a Gallardo Performante is kind of a rare sight. I think this is the first time one has been on the show. This one is super clean. I think the aftermarket wheels on this are actually really nice and look good and complement this car. The white body, the silver outer ring there, I think that looks really good. Come in here, very clean, all black interior of the Alcantara, which is such a nice car. I bet this thing performs very, very well. And we're here in the garage of this massive, massive house. Come around to the back. This car is just super clean with its black, white, and carbon fiber throughout. And right here we have a Lamborghini Huracan. This is the 610-4, all-wheel drive, naturally aspirated V10. Just got here. Great looking car. The fastest I've ever gone in any vehicle would be in this car. I think it's just so slick. So both cars, the Gallardo and the Huracan, are both great cars, but the Huracan does represent a great technological leap forward, but both are outstanding vehicles. And right here we have a Porsche 911 Carrera S. Like I tell people, man, if you haven't driven a Porsche and you get the opportunity to, take it. Driven a 911 Turbo, a Boxster, a GT3 RS, and I've got nothing but praise for these vehicles. That is so slick. Nice car. And we come in here, we started in a smaller garage, and now look what we have here. An RV garage. Yes, a garage for your RV. However, being a car guy, let's be honest, what would we really do with this? We'd put a lift in it. We'd turn it into a shop. We'd build cars. Probably get some good ventilation in here. But yeah, if you want to store things in here, RV, more cars, there's definitely plenty of space for it. And I have to tell you though, my passion, lies with cars more than anything else. So I think turning this into a very well-equipped shop with a lift is what I'd be doing with this. Check out this bathroom. Woo! This is to the nines. I know it's a little different than what we normally bring you here on the show, but this is pretty fancy. It's like being in some sort of 5-star luxury hotel. I would definitely love to have a bathroom like this. They have an absolutely immaculate pool here. I would love to take a dip in this. Color changing LED lights, I bet that looks really good at night. This house is something really amazing. I want to thank everybody for watching today. This is an outstanding show for a good cause. Like I said earlier in the video, getting to just sit in this McLaren is such a treat as well. If I referenced any episodes, the links will be right down below. If you want to support our show, check us out on Patreon. Also, hitting that subscribe button and bell icon goes a long way with that support. If you want to follow us on social media, we're also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you all again for watching.